That's like the fastest 30 seconds ever. And as I'm sitting here listening to the same repetitious music, we have got to get a song.
I'm working on it.
And I can't tell you how many times I've had people say, "Oh, I'm gonna make y'all a song. I'm gonna make y'all an intro."
Make the song then.
I'm like, as I'm sitting here listening to it, I'm like, where the fuck is our music? For anybody who has offered to make us a track or an intro for the show, let me see. Oh, look at Tierra is able to join us tonight. Anybody who has offered to make us a song for the intro, we're ready. So send it to us. But otherwise, yeah, we need some music, And I was listening to last week's episode, and I was hearing you talk about all the stuff that we want to do, and I'm like, okay. We've said this before, so it's just trigger pull. It's just trigger pull time. That's it. It's just trigger pull time. Period. So I'm committed, to learning the things that I need to learn to improve what needs to be improved. Visually, auditorily. I don't even know if that's the right word, but yeah. So where's our music? So welcome. And I think tonight's going to be a great conversation. I listened to you last week, and I was like, you did a really good job. I love how you told the history in your version, which was very accurate, of the birth of free thinkers. So hopefully we'll have some of our folks join us tonight, which obviously we've got a few faces on here tonight. I'm excited.
I do want to hear your side, because I know you got different sides to it that I'm not even.
But you did better than me. First of all, I was like, oh shit! I was like, that part happened and that part happened, and that's right, that happened. And it took me back. So, anyways, welcome to the show. We will get into that. Welcome to Free Thinkers. Thank y'all for joining us tonight. It is our 7th birthday. Free Thinkers is 7 years old, and it feels like dog years.
Yeah, it does. Right.
It definitely feels like dog years, but it has been.
You know what? It's probably just because it merged right from Meeting Into the Minds to there was no
break. I mean, we had like a very short break, but it was right back into it. Once you made the call and we had dinner, it was like, shit, let's go. And it was like missing. And I always use church as a reference, even though I don't go to church, but it was like missing church, like missing therapy. Like it was always my therapy Tuesday nights. So having that lapse of those couple weeks where it was just like, the fuck do I do with myself on Tuesday nights? I was so happy.
Okay, listen, I want to jump right in. So share, make sure you got something in your ear, and then it's adult conversation. So make sure you're paying attention to who around you. All right, got it? Send it to somebody here. Now I want to ask you, Nikki. First of all,
are you letting Joe be in? I see Joe. Okay, there he is. Okay, because it wouldn't let me in. What up, Joey?
What's up, y'all?
So let me ask you first, Nikki. How did you hear about Free Thinkers?
How did I hear about Free Thinkers?
I mean, okay, let's go back. How did you hear about Meeting of the Minds?
What the hell? I was thinking about this. I've actually thought about this many a times. I really don't know how I heard about Meeting in the Minds. I think it's just because we know a lot of the same people, a lot of people in the music industry, in the entertainment industry, and I was going through my separation at that time. So just being back out and being back around people again and in social circles. Right. I don't know who invited me to the first.
Who invited you there?
I don't because whoever I started coming in with is not still here. So I don't know. Okay. I don't know if it was one of those just check it out, it's a good conversation thing. It was recommended and I showed up by myself and then eventually started bringing people with me. But I don't remember how I originally heard of Meeting of the Minds.
Now, when you first came, was it at the coffee? Was it at
Jimmy? Yeah, it was at Joe's. It was always at Joe's for me.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you were going over the history of y'all being on 12th Street, I was like, damn. But I knew that Meeting of the Minds had obviously been taking place for like 6, 7, 8 years before we started Free Thinkers.
Right.
So I knew the Meeting of the Minds had obviously been around for a long time. And I for the life of me, I can't remember how I got invited, but I came to my first
Can
meeting.
you recall your first meeting? Like, what was your thoughts about the first?
Yes, my first meeting, I was like, this is home. I was like, I love this. I love these people. It was just, I needed that at that time in my life, because again, I was going through a separation after 16 years. I very much hold myself into my world with my children and my life and my business. And,
Right.
it was getting back out. And it was also at a time in my life where I was entertaining a lot of different philosophies. I was soul searching. I was looking for something, right? And so coming to Meeting the Minds, it definitely filled that space, because it was so many different people, so many different backgrounds. It's predominantly people of color. So the topics and the energy and the conversation and just where,
Do you
where I
remember what
felt.
the first topic was about? Now that's a tough one. You bad if you remember that.
I can almost guarantee you. Oh, I don't, but I remember sitting in probably my first or second Meeting of the Minds, and whatever it was that we were talking about, it was definitely to the effect of, Black people basically flipping the script on society, essentially, like regaining control of the masses and how much power there is. And I remember saying that if Black people really wanted to change things, all y'all got to do is come together, because you are the majority, and there's so much power in that is just not seen, I don't think, for a lot of people. And saying that out loud in that meeting, and it being received the way that it was, which was I knew that, like, these were my people. Like, you could freely speak in this space. You could freely think in this space. You could really, you could fuck up what you say, and you could still come back. Like, you could still have a space here to be able to share how you feel. And it wasn't, with the exception of you guys saying a prayer at the beginning, right? It wasn't ever like, it wasn't ever something that I felt like was a religious leaning thing. Obviously, as I come to learn more people and realize how a lot of you guys all knew each other, it was primarily from church. But I was like, well, it is what it is. But you said something at the end of last week's show that I think has probably stuck with me this whole entire time, which is why one of the reasons why I admire you the most is that as your time kind of concluded with Meeting of the Minds, and we eventually, had free thinkers, you're not even your perspective necessarily changed, but like you kind of moved away from some of, I think, what the original intention of Meeting the Minds was. And it definitely was a freer thinking. It was more open thinking. And I didn't really know, at that time that I don't even want to say struggle, but that dynamic was really present,
And that's funny because free thinkers and Meeting of the Minds is not the same. It's not the same. Like, the energy is not the same between the two groups.
And you can say that because you have so much more history with Meeting of the Minds. For me, I feel like once I started coming to Meeting of the Minds, and I think I came to Meeting of the Minds for like maybe 2 years before.
Oh, okay.
I think it was about 2 years, a year or 2 years before. Dun, 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 hit the fan.
Okay, we're gonna get into that in a second. Okay, hold on. Pause just for a second, okay, Nikki. Pause for a second. Joe B, are you still around there? Joe B, let me grab you.
Who's that fan in the wind ass man over there? He's on mute. We can't hear you, Joe.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Sure do.
Yes. Excellent.
So, Joe, tell us about the first time. I'm guessing your first time was at Meeting of the Minds. I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Tell me about your first time going there and who invited you, how you heard about it, just that first experience.
I think it was it was a mutual friend of ours that had invited me out to Joe's where y'all was having it. And because it was you and that mutual friend, I knew that there was going to be there was going to be more than a fair amount of substance. And I think Nikki was there. I think Nikki
Was it
was there.
Selah? Was it Selah?
Yeah, it was Selah. It was Selah.
Okay, I'm
And I
saying names today, so it's all right, bro.
yeah, so I feel like if Nikki wasn't there the first time I went, her showing up between you, Selah, and Nikki, there was something to it that balanced so many different. There were so many different perspectives that we could come from
That's
with it.
true.
You know what I'm saying? It
Right.
created a spectrum of intellect. And so you
I see that.
basically had like you had like free for all. You know what it's like. It's me being a cinephile. It's like that church shootout scene in Face Off, where the bullets are just flying. Intellectually, that's what it was like. It was like the bullets were flying everywhere, and at the end of the day, you didn't think the same way you thought before. No matter what happens, you didn't think the same way you thought before you showed up. You may have been staunch in your views when you left, but there was too much. There was too much sown in. There was too many seeds sown into you for you to say that you left unchanged.
So, Joe, you had just barely started coming, like when we met each other.
I think when I think that like I said, I feel like you were there.
Okay.
I feel like you've been there for like every time I've been there. I feel like.
Yeah. I always think that everybody knew Q and Selah like a million years before me, and like I was the newbie, and everybody had already been there. I didn't realize that you were newer to the group as well.
I had known Q and Selah for years. Those two separately, those two individually, I had known them for years, right? But I hadn't known about the meetings until Genuine Joe's. And at the time, it became more than a safe space for me. It became a place where I could actually come in and be myself. And actually, I found myself having to shut myself up at certain times, because I always wanted to come in with something, because y'all always said something or did something that got me, okay, well, man, that reminds me of this. Let me talk about this. I'm like, nope, bring it down. You know what I'm saying? It's not your interview. Just leave it alone. But I say all that to say that I felt that way because everything was so out there. You know, at any point in time, we could bring up somebody could bring up something, or something that they've experienced, or something that they read somewhere or saw somewhere, and we, okay, well, yeah, we get that you saw that, but how do you feel about this? And you can't not acknowledge this. There's a whole perspective that you thought you were cemented in before you came to the meetings, and then you left feeling like,
You like, damn, what I thought was.
I gotta go think about some shit now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And there was some stuff. There was some opinions that I heard that I didn't quite like, but I couldn't really fault it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like that that's a thing, but teach their own. Like, it was more than to each their own. It was more like, people make the world go round, and people come from different places. So yeah, it did a lot to broaden my perspective.
Okay. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Yuhukanan, I don't know if you're available right now. If you're available, then come on, let me know.
Yeah, what up, though?
Okay. So let me ask you, Yuhukanan, did I invite you, or it had to be either me or possibly Jaslyn? One of us.
Hold on, fam. You break it up. Hold on, fam.
We got like hella echo going on somewhere too.
I'm driving right now. I might be able to ask you again when you get still. I don't know. It sounds like you might be driving. I don't know.
I am driving, but
okay.
to answer your question, it was you.
Okay. I know we used to work together.
Yep.
So let me ask, the first time that you came, just tell me what was your experience and what you thought. I don't know if you on. You might be muted still. I can't hear you if you're on. I don't know. Might have to get back to you. I don't know.
Right.
We might not be able to
hear me now.
Okay, there we
Can you hear
go.
me now?
I
Am
can
I
hear
clear?
you. Yes, I can hear you now. Yes.
Yeah, I got to turn on one of my working apps. Hold on. First meeting was that I met when you invited me out was at Spinners, the Spinners Bar and Grill, and it
Oh
was
wow. Okay.
outside, and it was like around the corner from where I stayed, as far as my first apartment.
That's right.
And as far as my expectation, I really didn't have any. I just wanted to, get out and explore because that was my first. I think it was within my first week or two moving to Austin from Cali,
No
so I didn't
way.
know. Yep.
Wow. I did not know that.
So I wasn't familiar with the area. So that's when I was working with Q at Invenio, doing the sales thing, and we were getting our battles on the chessboard, and we played a live chessboard at lunchtime or whatever.
Yep.
And he just invited me out, and I was like, yeah, I'll come check it out, because as my current wife would like to say, I'm a social butterfly, so I'm more so an extrovert rather than an introvert, so I can be sociable. So yeah, I was like, come out, check it out, and see what the vibe is like. And it was cool, and ever since then I've been coming more consistent. Before COVID hit, I would try to, be more familiar face and consistent before COVID hit. But yeah, I was digging the vibe. Everybody's different opinions on one particular subject matter. And yeah, it was, man. I was like, all right, yeah, I can rock with this. Even though, I have a more of a faith-based type of perspective, but I'm versatile and universal as far as like being able to connect and relate to those that may have a different opinion on a subject than I do, because I came from that background too, as far as the other side of the spectrum. So I'm able to relate.
So you came
That's
into it with free thinkers. He was never a part of Meeting of the Minds.
Nope.
Wow.
Okay. I just remember
That
you
is.
being at the coffee shop, obviously, but that was obviously when we went back after
Right.
Spinners and a few of the
Right.
hit or misses. Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so hold on. Right before we go back to that, because this is Tierra. I don't know if you are here, then be ready to jump in. But Tierra is a little bit different because Tierra she's part of our internet free thinkers group. She's after we got away from in person and started going online, then that's when she would come in because she's not from the city. Tierra, how did you hear about? Did I send you an invite? Did you hear from somebody else? Like, how did you hear about free thinkers?
I probably I don't remember exactly. Like I said, I follow you, and I think during COVID, it was so much going on, and I seen that you guys were doing some talking, and I thought it was just captivating hearing. We all wanted a connection then.
Right.
It was necessary to have that connection in COVID because we were sheltered in place, and so I was doing my little Tierra talks, and then I seen that you were doing something. I was like, "Yo, this is dope. I want to be on here as well," because I like what you guys were doing and what
Right.
you were talking about. I mean, we were going through Trump and all kind of crazy things, and I just thought it was important to be able to have that voice, to have an outlet, to be able to express ourselves, and you provided that with free thinkers, and so I was hooked.
So,
Q.
do you
We
remember the
literally
first?
we had Monday, Wednesday, Friday Black Tea Talk. We had Tuesdays was Free Thinkers and Thursdays was Tierra Talks. Like it was
Oh,
5 days a week.
Yeah.
And then I would do
And then you had your stuff, the
outside the
single
box
club.
with Roy Bright earlier on that month. No, that would be earlier Tuesday. I was doing a lot of stuff. That's fun. Do you remember when you first came on what we were talking about? I don't know if you remember the first topic that you came in on here.
I don't, but I have a when I was thinking about like what we could have been talking about at the time, and it was just everything was really like
Intense.
Trump was kind of like everything right then. So if you was
Oh,
if we
you know
was
what?
talking
That
about,
year, I remember where it was one of those times like we started watching the debates together. Like we had the debate on the thing, and we were watching. I'm like, It's gonna be bad.
Yeah, and we would give our feedback on the debate, and it was a thing. It was really like I said, it gave a lot of voice to people that maybe not familiar of being able to express themselves like that. I think people got comfortable doing so, and that's what I loved about it.
Right. Okay. Cool. I appreciate that. So, Nikki, let me get back to you. As I said last week, all good things must come to an end, and as we like I said, we love meeting other minds, but meeting other minds, we had some hiccups with that as well. From on your side, because I gave, if y'all didn't hear, I gave my side about what happened last week on how we kind of me and Selah went separate ways. But on your side, what happened as far as there was a conversation, there was a heated argument, and then like how did all that happen on your side? Tell me about that.
It was a regular Tuesday night. It was chilly outside, and we were in a parking lot conversation. It happened in the fucking parking lot. All the magic, like you said, all the magic happens in the parking lot. So I don't even know what the conversation was about, but it was a great conversation, honestly. It was me, you, Smack. I think Derek was there. Oh, I feel like Prince was probably there. I don't remember who else was there. I think maybe Tori was there. Derek? Remember Derek with the dreads? Clemens from California?
Oh, yeah. Shout out Derek. Yeah.
I tagged him tonight too, but we're not friends on social. We're not friends on Facebook, but we're friends obviously in the group. But yeah, so I think there was only a few of us left because it was the end of the night, and I don't remember the conversation was taking place so much inside, but it definitely carried out into outside. And the part that sticks with me the most was the freaking Tower of Babel. That's what it was about. The Tower of Babel. And so it was me, it was you, it was Selah, and it was Smack, and it was like four of us. And we were like basically in one small little huddle because it was cold outside, and we were talking. And and it was about like the language, and it was about reaching the heavens and climbing the tower, and just this question, because I ask a lot of questions, and especially at that time you have to make it make sense to me. If it doesn't make sense to me, I'm going to challenge it. And it wasn't me trying to be antagonistic about somebody's personal beliefs with religion or not. It was make it make sense. And you had mentioned something like, well, no, wait a minute, maybe she's got a point. And then Smack was like, yeah, like make it make sense. And then at that very moment,
and then
I mean, that was pretty much it.
Zombie. She turned into a zombie. Remember?
Oh shit, that's you. I can't see who that is. Yeah, so it went a little crazy, and this other person emerged. And I mean, this has obviously been shit that's been talked about, 7 years ago, and there was a whole bunch of bullshit that happened afterwards. But it was something that I was like, I'm not doing this with this crazy ass fucking lady. Like, this lady literally just got in my face and screamed and hollered and basically told me I can't question, I can't feel how I feel, like how dare I. I think the fact that you, Q, and even Smack were like, no, let's delve more into this. Let's explore the question.
Let's unpack it.
I think that's what really, really set her off, is that how dare I question her, and how dare you support the fact that I have a fucking question? Like, make it make sense.
So
I don't remember as much. I do remember, but it depending on what my hat is at that time, it's like I focus in on certain things. Now, Tori wasn't antagonizing her either.
No,
I know you said you wasn't,
and Tori honestly might not have been there, but I feel like she was. Smack, do you remember if Tori was there that night, or was it just us four?
It was just us. You mean right before she turned into like a zombie monster, and she started making that noise like she was possessed? And I was like, so do we need to kill this bitch? Like, I mean, what the fuck? Like, she's turned into a straight up monster right now.
Like, in your face, screaming, eyes got huge.
Remember, she made that noise. It was like so performative. It was like, what the fuck? And then she got caught up in it. and she couldn't get out of that. She couldn't. You know what I'm saying? It was just weird, man.
I don't even remember that part. It's weird, but I mean, I definitely.
She literally started making noises off something out of like a movie or something, like she was doing some shit like
She
that.
was angry. Okay. She was hella angry, and you know, and there had been.
I do remember she was triggered. Definitely, I do remember that.
There had been fights in the parking lot before, and I was like, I'm not finna fight this fucking girl over a conversation. I'm not gonna do that, right? So I heard you. Who could I say? He's President, you know, two-piecer. I wasn't finna fight that girl in the parking lot over some power of babble shit because I don't even believe in that stuff, right? But I wanted to explore what was being presented as challenging, whatever it was that we were talking about. And so, argument ensued. It was fucking crazy. Like, you know, it was totally inappropriate. I'm proud of myself. I think I did a good fucking job in that incident. But after that, it just became, once, you know, those that were involved.
So did you come back again after that?
What happened? Huh?
Did you come back again after that incident?
No, I wasn't coming back. No.
Now, was that before or after the birthday party?
You mean the party at Smack's house?
No, the party at her house. I remember there was a party, and then
the party at her house where she said y'all stole something.
Accused somebody stole like some coats or some jackets or something like that. Was that before or after
that? The party was before. Yeah, the party was before. Because it was just like little weird shit leading up to this whole blow up that happened this particular night, which was obviously about way more than just the conversation that was taking place.
So then after that, then is that when the long Facebook conversation happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
And because as people started to hear about what happened, and I didn't say shit to nobody. Like, I talked to Smack, obviously. I talked to the people who were there, right? And then it eventually started to bleed out onto the rest of other people. So in order for me to at least speak my piece about what happened, of course I addressed it. I didn't want to lose friends that I'd made, but I also didn't want to put anybody in a position where they had to choose which friend they were going to be friends with. Like this is fucking stupid, right? But I also wanted to make sure that my position was clear. And what I said was communicated regardless of what another person may have said I did or did not do. And so that's where it started, the me talking to Joe B and talking to Jules. And I never, and to Denise, and it was never to like, oh, what did you hear? It was, I don't care what you heard. It's irrelevant to me, but like, are we still good? I'm not going back. I'm not going to deal with this crazy ass lady. Things were said, you know, a lot of things were said. And then
so let me ask you, so it was never told to you that you can't come back. That was your decision, like saying, no, I'm not going back there.
I mean, I don't think she ever told me I can't come back per se, but it was definitely, I'm not welcome. And maybe she did. I don't know. Maybe she did. But
I remember when I spoke to you, because I remember it was kind of crazy. And then I'm like, yeah, you know, things get crazy sometime. And then, so I didn't see you the next week. And then I didn't see you the week after that. And then by the third week, I'm like, now hold on. Now I know Nikki got thicker skin than that. What's going on? Like, I know she ain't just tripping off of whatever that was. So then I actually called you. I'm like, man, what's going on? I know, you know, what's going on? I ain't seen you in a second. You had said like it was expressed to me that I'm not welcome to come back. And I was like, what?
It was made clear that it was made clear not to return, but I don't think the words "you can't come" was ever said. But it was made very clear, and by that time, it had already bled all to all the people, and I was like, man, fuck this, like just straight up, like I'm not gonna go entertain this crazy bullshit. I made peace with people that I, you know, made relationships with, and whatever happened from that point forward, obviously we would go from there. At that point, there was no conversation or even a thought that you and I would even start a group, you know, at some point. So when you called me that day, it was, you know, my feelings were definitely hurt, you know, but you calling me that day and explaining to me that like you really didn't know all of what had taken place. And, you know, that
And I was definitely upset about that because when you said it was expressed to you that you wasn't welcome to come back, and I'm like, no, that ain't the case at all. And then you said I was under the impression that
you agreed with it.
I agree with it. I co-signed. I'm like, oh heck no, like that ain't me. So then that was when I really, took a stand. Like, you can't just be telling people that they can't come, because this had happened before where she actually told people they couldn't come back.
Right.
But in certain instances, it was like more of a personal relationship. Maybe somebody was dating, and it's like, oh, well, look, that's y'all personal. If you don't want them around your space like that, whatever, I'm not going to get in between that. But just based off of a conversation and you telling someone that it's not okay for them to come back, then I definitely had issue with that. And I was like, nah, that's not cool. And then the other part was, when all of that stuff start happening on Facebook, I don't believe in Facebook, Twitter fingers going back and forth. I'll have a conversation with you. Like, I'll go back and forth with you twice. And then maybe after the third rebut, like if it's some real, like intense, like we're like verbally fighting, I'm going to give you a call. I'm going to call you. Right. And I'm like, no, we're not going to keep going back and forth on social media. So when I saw that, then I went to her house. I went directly to her house and I had a conversation with her. I was like, first of all, I'm coming to your house because I'm trying to set an example of whenever you have conflict, then there's a certain way that you should handle it. I think you should handle it face to face, which is why I'm meeting you face to face versus texting and going back and forth like that.
Right.
So we had a conversation, and she actually had a mediator on the phone with the both of us that she wanted to have present as well, and I was cool with it. And we had some conversations, but ultimately she felt like in that situation I was supposed to side with her, and she felt like I didn't take up for her or cover her or protect her or what. I don't remember the exact verbiage. She was like, yeah, no, I'm not taking up for anybody. I'm taking up for what's right. And she felt the way about that. So then that was when she tried to tell me that, like, she basically tried to sit me down. She didn't directly tell me I couldn't come, but she told me I couldn't moderate no more. Like, I couldn't be the one to moderate and speak. I'm like, you can't tell me that. What you talking about? I'm like, I've been doing this way too long.
When you told me that in our conversation, I was like, well, damn. So it's not just a me thing. Like, it's like, because I would never have expected her to do you like that, right? Like, I'm disposable, but I never expected her to do you like that. So when you said that, she was like, I basically don't have the position that I have in this conversation anymore. I was like, holy shit. I'm like, there's nothing about me would ever feel comfortable going back in that room and being honest.
I never had any beef with her, so that's why. And even to this day, I still never had any beef with her. I just don't. Like, I'm perfectly, I shout out Selah all the time. Like I said, she does great things in the city. I always support her endeavors. I always see her around she's always been doing positive things ever since I've known her. So I always bigger upper on that. We just had a conflict at that particular time, and we went separate directions. Now, let me Smack, what we were doing before you got on. How did you get introduced to? You came at when it was Meeting of the Minds? I'm pretty sure you did, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I came when it was Meeting of the Minds.
Okay, who introduced you? How did you hear about it? Who introduced you? Do you remember, like, when you came, around what time? What was the first conversation about? What's your first impression when you came to it?
I'm trying to remember who invited me to that. But I think it was because of things I was saying on my page, and they were like, you need to come to Meeting of the Minds.
Huh, interesting.
And that's how I got there, I guess. But it seemed like I knew somebody or something.
Was it not Selah that invited you?
It might have been Selah.
Because that's how I met Smack. I met Smack through Meeting of the Minds.
Yeah, so that may be how I got there. Like, she might have said, you need to come check this out. We talk about things like this, blah, blah, blah. And I think it was me and Crash and somebody else that would come.
Okay.
Like, when we first started coming, it was me, Me, Crash, and Toby actually.
Yeah, Toby.
Oh yeah,
Toby definitely came.
Yeah, it might have been Toby actually.
It was. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I forgot Toby used to come. Okay, so what was the first time you came? What was your impressions, or what did you think about the group or the conversation, or like what were your thoughts about it?
I mean, I liked it because it was we were talking about off-topic things like that weren't too like you know, if you start having that conversation on Facebook, you get kind of cut off or people are not really listening. So it was cool to come do it in person where people could see you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right.
And I like that, and I think it had a better. It was just a cool outlet too. Like I think people just wanted to express themselves, and
Right.
So it was just a good. It was just a good vibe all around. So that's what I liked about it.
So Nikki, we had our first, like I said, we had our first come together meeting on deciding on what we were going to do at Buffalo Wild Wings. I remember that it was me, you, Thomas, and it was supposed to be Greg, but I don't think he showed up. If I remember.
No, because it was just the three of us. But let me tell you, Q, when you made that call and you were like, "Do you want to do something?" I knew, like I knew, like, ooh, I could cry. I knew that it was going to be good. Like I knew that, I knew that. And so for you to offer that, I was like, abso-fucking-lutely. There would be absolutely no reason I would not want to continue doing what I thought we were doing and figuring out our way to pave this. So yeah, we met at a chicken restaurant. we sat down at it, and I was still a little intimidated because I didn't know what you'd been told. I didn't know what you believed. I didn't know what you thought. I didn't know what you thought about me. I didn't know. But the fact that you were like, "Do you want to do something?" I was like, holy shit. Like this is real deal. This is real deal. So thank you for that day, actually.
The very first thought that I had on my agenda was I did not want it to be a my thing. I didn't want it to be even a your thing. I wanted it to be a free thinkers thing. So whoever free thinkers, whatever, I wanted it to be a collective group, and the group decides and dictates on what direction we go and what we talk about. So I like, you don't hear me vetoing things or encouraging people and no, you can't say this, or you gotta. I always wanted everyone, I wanted it to truly be what the name was, and even before we came up with the name, that's what I wanted it to be, because not only even besides there's things that I wanted even during meeting of the minds, and then say like no, I don't want to do that, I want to keep it this way. It you know, I'm like, okay, whatever, like, you know, it's still your baby. I'll still I defer to her, you know, in the backroom meetings or whatever. But and not only that, I did not want to take like the church culture and try to bring, because that's where, you know, you got the leader and then you got these people and then you got everybody following. You got one person dictating. No, I didn't want that at all. I wanted it to be group decisions in every situation. So I'm, even to this day, I'm always mindful of, I don't decide anything. I'm always open to what the group wants and whatever direction the group wants to take it, even in conversation. All right, hey, that's where we're gonna go. Now y'all gotta be, sometimes people, you gotta be careful what you ask for, because I will let it go there, and I'm like, and there's sometimes things going off the rail, and I'm like, okay, well, that's just what it's gonna be. But so let me ask you, what where did you decide the name Free Thinkers?
Literally, as we sat there and we decided we're going to do something, the next thing you said was, okay, well, we got to come up with a name. And like 4 seconds later, Free Thinkers came out of my mouth. And you immediately were like, I like it. Yeah, you're like, no, I like it. You're like, no, that's it. And we were like, fuck it, that's it. And that was it. And it literally is what we are. I mean, and I didn't know until later on that like free thinking, and you know, like in the religious world, is
right.
kind of like a taboo thing. Like I didn't know that, right? Like the word free thinking was just like, that's what we do. We think freely, we speak freely, we feel
Right.
freely, we communicate freely. I didn't know that for a lot of people in the religious world, that free thinkers was like being a free thinker was like, oh no, you can't be that. Like, no. I didn't know that. And so it even made,
Right.
it was even more special to me because I know where you come from to subscribe to this thought of free thinking. I was like, holy shit. So when you said this was the name, you were like, yeah, this is it. I was like, this is it. And it has literally been nothing but that from that moment at that dinner table. Free thinkers. That's it.
Now, if I remember, Smack, were you the one who helped us get that first space at Spinners, or where did that come from? I'm guessing it was Smack. Like, did you?
It had to be Smack because he knew Arash.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I think when we were first trying to find a place, because didn't she like book up the rest of the year or something?
Well, no. That wasn't until later. That wasn't.
Made sure every Tuesday was going.
Smack keep bringing up the messy stuff. So let me say first, I was the one who was
January. How was the whole year gone already?
I was gonna be the one who was messy first because we was like, okay, where we gonna have it? I'm like, we're gonna have it at Genuine Jones. Forget that. We can have it at the same spot, same time, same bat channel, all of that stuff.
And I was like, no.
You're like, no. I'm like, man, we could do whatever. But then she was like, no. I'm like, okay, well then we'll find our own space then. But yeah, I was ready to just be like, hey, we just all be there. That's what it is.
But, yeah, because I think we went to Spinners, and then didn't we go to like another side
so what
of
happened?
Joe's?
So what happened is we were at Spinners maybe about a month, and I think, like I said, the space was cool. We had our own space, but it was a club going on next door, and it was music bumping, and it was kind of the sound was bleeding. Sometimes we go inside. It was nice, but Genuine Joe's is just like a really good spot. I mean, it's just ain't no way around it. But then someone ended up telling us like she's not doing the meetings over there on Tuesday. I think she switched to a different day, like she switched to a Monday or something like that. I'm like, oh, well then we're gonna go back to Genuine Joe since that space is open and vacant. So we did. So then we did started going back on Tuesdays, and then she had a second event. So she had I think a meeting on one day, and I think she had like a poetry thing that started up again on Tuesdays, something like that. So it was a short period of time where we were both there at the coffee shop at the same time. And it was a little weird.
I do remember that.
You remember that? Like people would be coming in like, oh, is this we like, and then some of the people who would come were actually regulars who would come. So like, are you here for free thinkers or are you here for meeting of the mind? And some people look like, hey, like whatever you want to do is fine. Ain't no pressure over here. We over here, meeting of the minds is over there. You free to do whatever you want to. No, ain't no problem. So it was a little weird it was weird for a few weeks.
It was weird. It was weird, but I do appreciate the fact that like people who maybe didn't come on a regular basis who came and were like, oh shit, there's two different groups. Like, wait a fucking minute. Like, I do appreciate people who just kind of sat back for a little bit and were like, okay, let me see what's going on and see where I'm supposed to go, because I don't feel like people ever necessarily fell off or disappeared. I think some folks just took a second to sit back and try to figure out where they're supposed to go.
Also, that energy that she brought and did that, it lingered.
Yeah.
It just changed. It changed a lot of. It just kind of threw it off to where.
But you know what I know, and
we were trying to tell her like, "Hey, man, you need to pull back because if we're supposed to all be able to have our own thoughts, like you're doing the total opposite."
Right.
Yeah, that's unfortunately that is.
She
true.
was.
Like, you gotta.
And then she became possessed, or she was acting possessed, and then that just made it more weird.
Yeah.
It's very important that you live up to the own thing that you're setting out to accomplish. You can't step on your own toes. That it doesn't work well.
And I remember saying, if you could come back tomorrow and apologize, the quicker you could do that, this could probably just get past this. But she couldn't do that, and she was wrong. I remember telling her, I said, "You're totally wrong. You're just in the wrong, man. Like." You weren't wrong in what you were saying about the Tower of Babel. neither was Nikki. Actually, the way the Bible's written, y'all could take it either way. Like it's written with ambiguity. So it's like none of you are actually wrong, but you just want your thing to be right. And hers could be right too. Like, so it was just, and then when she just started doing the zombie noises, man, that just really, that right there, the exorcist noises. And when she shook her head, do y'all remember that? And her hair went, and she started doing all, and I was like, so either, and I remember looking at her thinking, if you're possessed right now or trying to play with us right now, like we've seen this in movies, like what are we supposed to do right now? Do we let you run amok and bite everybody, or do we like, what are we supposed to do right now if you're really possessed? And I think she just went to that character, couldn't get out. But I tell you what, if she had a way to do something to us, she would have did it.
You have said that since that night.
That's how mad she was.
You've been saying that since that night.
Yep. She told, if she would have had a strap, nigga, she would have tried to lay you down out there. Definitely. That's how gone she was.
Yeah, so going back was not an option.
Because remember,
like,
somebody was holding her against.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't think. No, I don't think Nikki wasn't gonna take one step backwards at all. She's like, no,
but still, it was just like at that moment, it was like, yo, you went this crazy over.
No,
like,
I'm talking about just as far as you saying, hey, if you just apologize, then we could figure out. Nikki wasn't backstepping on it. She like, we moving forward.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, to do the right thing, though, right? Like to do the right thing in the space in which, you know, we were supposed to be operating in. It's your group, lady. Like you gotta fix this. I'm just a guest in here, you know.
Yeah. And
right.
she was
But
just
to go
talking about
on
how she'd be teaching kids, and I'm like, and you teach kids? Like, come on, man.
So yeah, so
I think really what it was, it was something personal between her and Nikki. They was having a battle of who hairs the longest or some shit.
No, I
Nikki
honestly
won that shit.
No, I think everybody has their triggers and how they release those triggers or how they're prepared to deal with them. And I've seen just about everybody at one point. I ain't saying you spinning around and you foaming at the mouth, but I've seen everyone come outside of themselves when they're triggered.
Sure.
In different ways. I've seen it. I've seen it. And
you ain't seen nobody turn to a zombie though.
What are some let me get into this while we talk. What are some of your, and this is broader, just based upon everyone's experience here. What are some episodes or some conversations that stand out to you the most? Anybody, because I don't know who thinking of some first, but anybody who could think of like what conversation stands out to you the most, or like what's most memorable to you? Is all of them okay? Oh, okay. I go. Ain't nobody going. I have like two sets. I have like one set. Well, let me say this first. Even when I was thinking about this conversation, I was like, I wonder like what are some of the and I was like, let me go back and look at some of the conversation. We've had so many conversations. I'm like, it ain't no way I can go back through all of this. Like we've had tons and hundreds of conversations. So I'm like, literally. Yeah, I could just forget trying to scroll through this. This ain't even gonna work. So I'm like, I'm thinking in my head. So in my head, I have two sets. It's like, what's the most interesting conversations, and what are the moments that stand out to me the most? Oh shoot, when none of y'all here. Okay. I ain't gonna even go to the meeting of the minds. I had to. It was one instance when we was on 12th Street, and this dude came in here and he was on that wet, and he got butt naked in the middle of the group. Did we tell y'all about that?
No.
Yes, we was on 12th
we
Street.
didn't get that.
these dudes came in here. These dudes, it was some. I can't tell if it was a yoga studio or a Mason place, or it was some type of just open studio, but it was open to us in the evening time. And these two dudes came in, wasn't with nobody. They just came because I guess they seen the group, they seen some people in there, probably they seen some ladies or whatever, but they came in there and they was looking real shady. I ain't gonna lie, they was looking real shady. One of the dudes was looking like he wanted to rob us, and the other dude was on it. He was on that wet hard. And I could just tell. And he, he was hot and he just kept doing this. And he was out of there. Next thing you know, he started taking his shirt off. And then he stood up. He took his pants off. He got butt naked. And I was like, I think, in all honesty, I really think he threw his homeboy off because I think his homeboy was looking like, I think his homeboy wanted to rob us. I was staring at him like, try something if you want to. Like, I was, all this stuff going on. I'm looking at him to see who he's looking at. I'm like, don't, if you think this is an easy win, this ain't no easy win. Don't even think about it. Like, I'm scoping him hard. So when his homeboy got butt naked and he just out of there, I'm like, hey, you need to get your mans and get up out of here, man. Well, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I ain't no need in going. That was a crazy situation. But I think about what was the craziest when we were at this is probably meeting of the minds too. When well, I ain't gonna go about that. But the other girl, Tammy, she got into an argument with somebody. I can't remember who she got into. It was a parking lot. It got heated and it got intense.
I remember that.
I don't even remember what we're talking about. It just got real intense. I remember the conversation. This might have been the only time that I left out of here early, and that was when we were talking like about Bill Cosby and Kanye West or something. And I think all y'all was triggered in my opinion. I'm like, everybody going in. Smack turned around. Smack called me like a sellout, and then you said Smack was I forgot. You were like, if you support Bill Cosby, then you one of them. So I was like, man, y'all all over the place. And I couldn't I was like, all right, I'm up out of here. And
we were in the coffee shop. This was way before we met online.
We was in a coffee shop. It was all out chaos. I was like, And I remember you was going in on me, and Sharita was going in real hard. Smack was going in on me, and then y'all started going in on Smack, and I was just like, this is chaos right here. And I was like, man, I'm about to. I don't even remember what happened by the end.
You were trying to stay neutral.
Yeah, I was still trying to have a conversation, but I just think everybody was triggered.
I think I was there for that episode.
Was it?
Yeah, because the thing that we were talking about.
I think I was there.
Who was the little girl with the loud mouth? What was her name?
Smack, why you gotta throw a shot at somebody? I just said Sharita.
What was her name? She was real loud. Man.
I said Sharita.
Sharita. I couldn't remember her name.
They were going at you.
Did you say Nikki's friend?
No, I said that was the
y'all was the one who was going in on people because
okay.
Y'all didn't like what Smack was saying about the whole Bill Cosby thing.
She was escalating it because the question was, but did you read the
the documents?
And she said, I don't need to. The news said this, and that's what I'm going with. And I said, but any other time y'all say y'all can't trust the news. Now you trust the news. Now it's like, and so I was just trying to lead with logic, but logically you can't go by that. And there's this whole thing of that you see now what's going on. It's like, man, there's this whole thing out to really do black men in. It's so obvious. And she was like, nah. And then that's when her dude was like, yeah, man, I'm a rapist or some shit. And I was just like, what the fuck?
Oh, God.
Nikki,
yes.
Like he got loud that evening.
He got loud. We was like, hey, man, you better calm the fuck down, dude.
Hold on, I got a question. I got a question. Nikki, do you feel like you were triggered that evening?
Was I don't know so much if I was triggered as much as I was responsive to like people's triggers or people's responses to whether or not we thought Bill Cosby did or didn't. Like, because I know me and Smack definitely got into it that night. Triggered? No, I don't think I was triggered. I just was passionate about how I felt the way I felt.
Okay, I was just asking because I definitely thought you was triggered that evening.
I won't argue your thought.
I think most of the women. I think most of the women were triggered on it, and we were just trying to logically say, "But hey, did you read it?" Because if we're just gonna, because now looking back at it, now that all the shit's out there, and you go back and see how they paid a lot of these people to get on the stand and say all this stuff, and it's like that's what we were talking about. Was like, and you see that going on today.
But see, okay, the thing that killed me about that was it was just funny to me that they accused you in the same type of way that you accused me. I'm like, so I was like, it's ironic that things are going full circle, because it was something I can't remember. We were having this conversation.
We were
about
talking about it got into the conversation of things that women do that may put themselves in positions for these things that happen.
But before that, though, I specifically asked Smack a question. I was like, okay, so if I disagree with someone's stance on, I think we were talking about Kanye West or something that had pertained to do with Black Lives Matter. I'm like, and if I don't support that, does that mean that also makes me a sellout if I say that either I agree with somebody or don't agree? If I agree with the person, does that mean that I align with everything that they do? And he was like, yeah, I mean, you a sellout too. I'm like, okay, you can feel, and like 45 minutes later in a heated conversation, he was like, well, if I believe that Bill Cosby didn't do it, do that mean that I'm a rapist too? And y'all was like, yes, that makes you. I was like,
yeah.
I was like, it's full circle right here. It's crazy.
They said I was a rapist supporter.
A rape apologist.
They said you're a rapist supporter. And then the loudmouth girl was like, yeah, because he raped the chick. And I'm like, who? And she's like, him. I'm like, your dude? Remember?
I was probably gone by then. Hold on a second. Who can not? No, because I did leave. I literally did leave. So that could have been.
Yeah, I remember Toad was there. I remember we were looking at the dude and we were like, what? And so when he told the story, we were like, okay, because it was with his ex-wife or something, and they were still messing around.
Yeah.
He wasn't really saying that, but as men, we were like, you were still messing with your ex-wife. Like, and so what happened is she got caught messing around, and instead of saying, yeah, we linked up to fuck around, we got drunk and did what we did because that's what y'all did, that's how y'all would do it, she decided to be like, oh, he took advantage of me and raped me. And then he was agreeing, and I was like, dude, you got finesse. And I remember saying, I said, you got finesse, dude.
Okay, that's cool. See, I like to just glance by stuff, and then Smack turn around. He's like, "No, we're gonna sit right here. We're gonna sit right here."
Nah, because Smack got memory.
But no. Hold on a second. I want to, Yehukanan, if you're on, like, do you have any? What are your recollections to that particular evening, if you remember anything?
Oh, I don't remember it vividly, but I do remember that it was a heated confrontation, and as far as the back and forth in regards to the Bill Cosby subject. And I think folks stopped coming, for a few weeks or so. But the turning point for me, though, was when everybody was able to set their differences aside as far as those disagreements or the heated exchange, and was able to come back and meet up as it were before. And I think that happened like at least once or twice, where it would get, people would get passionate, and it get heated, and then folks stop coming for whatever, just to blow off some steam or whatever the case may be, and then everybody hash it out, come back, and then just act like ain't nothing ever happened. And that's one of the things I admire about this particular setting. And there's another particular setting that I'm like involved with on a social media app, is the mere fact that even though, hold on, sorry about that, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think you're working.
Yeah. It's the fact that I'm gonna be brief, is the fact that people can the one thing I admire about this particular group setting, and another one that I'm a part of, is the fact that people can have their disagreements and whatnot, and they can basically overlook that in a sense, or hash that out and come back and still like break bread. Because it says in the book of Amos, can two walk together unless they agree? And most people will say no. But when you experience those people who actually agree to disagree or don't agree with a certain viewpoint, but yet they can still come back. It's a yes or no. It's a yes or no answer, because you have people that that is able to do that, and that's one of the things that separates this group, I'll say, from a church setting. Because if there's a disagreement in a church setting or a religious setting, and y'all bump heads, they break off. They don't break bread no more. The difference is with this group is that they have a disagreement, break off and whatever, and they come back and break bread like a few weeks after. But religious folks, they don't do that. And that's one of the things I admire about this particular group setting or the other one that I'm a part of over the church per se.
For sure. I mean, that happens often in the church. I ain't gonna be absolute on that.
Too often.
I am a church apologist, so I will not let you get the always in there, even if that's not what you said. But Tiara, I don't know if you hear me right now. Is there any particular conversations that stand out to you the most, or any that you were the most passionate or emotional? And can you think of a time like in this particular conversation, I was the most passionate? And I know that's weird for you because you pretty level-headed person, but is there a time you could think of?
I don't think I'm like unlevel-headed, but I just want to piggyback on the one with you guys talking about Bill Cosby. It got a little heated when we was talking about R. Kelly too. A lot of people were like, I remember Nikki said, like, if you even listen to R. Kelly, you supporting it. It's like, dang.
I said what I said.
Yeah, so it was like
consistent down that line.
We were trying to figure out, do you separate the art from the person, right?
Yeah.
Can you do that? And it was just like, it was hard to do because a lot of people love the art, and even though they don't agree with what the actions the person make, like the Cosby Show is like, yo, it's the Cosby Show, and it's R. Kelly music, it's the R. Kelly music. But a lot of people view that as you supporting them because you're actually putting money in their pocket every time you watch or stream their music. So it was a good conversation around R. Kelly, and we were talking about the parents, if they had any liability with the whole situation, because a lot of people was like, yo, if R. Kelly went to jail, the parents need to go to jail. And it was an all around great conversation. And I'm gonna just piggyback on a couple others that I thought that was really good.
Sure.
When we talked about polygamy, it was eye-opening.
That was a good conversation. Yeah.
Good call, Tiara. No shit.
I was like, first of all, I didn't know how many people in the group was polygamous. First of all.
Oh yeah, true that.
I was like, yo,
really? Right.
I didn't know either.
I didn't know. And then to me, it was like so many, I didn't know how many layers and respective, how things are going. Like, yo, I didn't think of polygamy like that. And poly, as poly is different from this.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That was
I learned
exciting.
a lot. A lot. And it was like back to back. So Trish moderated that episode, I remember.
Yeah.
And even prior to that, I know on Dr. Bright's Outside the Box, he had a friend of mine, Tia Boyd and Edward, also were guests on there, and they were talking about polygamy and polyamory. So I
didn't know Edward went on Dr. Boyd's show. Dr. Bright. Interesting. Okay.
Go back. That was a very good conversation as well.
Okay.
That was pretty. Oh, speaking of one of mine that stands out. Now this ain't where I was most emotional. I'm trying to think where was I most emotional? Oh, well, that's obvious. And this wasn't even an actual show. I think it was I did one of my impromptu meetings. I think when me and Stacey Shea was going back and forth for a while.
Lord.
Remember when we were live
with the I remember that.
We were on Free Thinkers and we had a real big blow up. It
was that, and then it was afternoon. We had another afternoon session because me and her kind of kept going back. I'm like, hey, let's go on live. Let's talk it out. And once we got on, like, okay, I give a quick back. Because I remember this very vividly. We were it was a COVID conversation, and Matt, shout out to Matt, he made some statement about
oh yeah,
just, the women mortality rate has something to do with that. And Stacy cut him off like, no, I'm not trying to stop it. Just stop. I'm like, hold on, he got a right to talk if he want to.
Oh, that
but
was his first time on too.
It was his first time.
Yes.
That's right. It was.
And we were like, yo, everybody was apologizing for that being his experience, and he was cool, but it was just everybody was like,
but,
I know okay, was very, like,
but
look,
it
man,
wasn't.
ain't never been the same.
No, if you're gonna shut somebody down, then give us your reasoning. But what got at me was, I think maybe it was either later on that evening or either on Black Tea Talk the next day, she mentioned that basically a white man doesn't have the right to speak that opinion about Black women. Like, you don't get to have that type of opinion. And I'm like, hold, that's where my trigger comes. This is free thinkers. Everybody got the right to have an opinion about anything that they want to. So when that came out, then I was like, oh, no. You don't. Everybody has a right to have an opinion. And that's where I always, if you want to see me confrontational, tell somebody they don't have a right to have an opinion on free thinkers, and you'll see that. So anyway, she had I think maybe I said something to her, and then she did another video right back at me. And then I was like, hey, let's just get on live. And we had an impromptu. It was like in the afternoon, we got on live. And as soon as we got on, then like she just tried to dictate, in my opinion, I felt like she just tried to dictate the whole conversation, say her piece, and then drop the mic and walk off stage. I'm like, nah, we ain't, no, you gonna let me talk too. And then I basically stated my opinion, and I used some colorful language that I usually don't use, but I'm like, no, everybody has a right to say what they want to on here. And if you think they don't, then that's when you're gonna see the side of me. So yeah, we had some issues with that. But yeah, that stands out to me. Oh, dang. And then Stacey Shay. Shout out to Stacey Shay. And then y'all make sure y'all tune in to 88.7. She be doing some good stuff on the radio too. And with her band. I have these it be seeming like I don't like people, but I really do. I really do like them no matter what it seemed like. And then so then we had another one. We had another instance. I don't know, Tier. It could have been that whole R. Kelly conversation as far as I know, but somebody got triggered with something, and she said something about what I said. She called me rapey or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that was crazy. That part of the conversation is where I was like, okay, hold on. I'm like, when you throw around, this is what I don't like about the current culture, which we all talked it out and everything, but like saying words like rapey is like, hold on, y'all. Like, let's not, I don't want there to be no middle ground between what is rape and what is not.
Right.
Because that like tossing that around frivolously is just not, we can't do that. We shouldn't start it.
No, yeah, I agree with that. So in all honesty, and y'all probably don't know this, Nikki and I had a tense couple of months after that time right there. And
really? Why?
Oh yes. So I ain't gonna say it's her fault, but at the time I felt like I shouldn't have to be the one who defends myself when somebody accuses me like that. And I'm like, Nikki, you being around me the most, somebody should have stepped up and be like, hold on now, you know, that's going a little too far. So I felt a certain type of way, and I wasn't trying to feel a certain type of way, but it took a lot out of me, and I lost a lot of energy for the group. And if you remember, Denise, you probably don't even remember, we had a lot of you and other people were doing moderating. I stepped back for a while. I'm like, people getting a little too comfortable talking to me, and I'm not feeling that. So I was kind of quiet, and I was listening for a little bit. And Nikki called me out. She's like, hey, you like there, but you ain't all the way there. We need to have a conversation. And she called me out, and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm still feeling the type of way, and I think I might need to step back for a little bit and I said how I feel, and she said how she feels. She's like, I wish it didn't happen that way. And when I look back on it, like in hindsight, I don't even think it was her responsibility. What I think the biggest problem is I get so focused. Like if I have a certain hat on, I'm only operating from that hat. So I had a full moderator hat on. So when people, no matter, and trust me, people throw shots at me a lot, all the time, often. But I don't be tripping about it because I'm thinking about the conversation, and I'm not really thinking about protecting myself because I'm thinking about the conversation. So when she said that, and by the way, she did come back and apologize to me later. So that's all water under the bridge as well. But when she said that at the time, I was so focused in a different mode, I wasn't focused on actually defending myself. And then in hindsight, like after something, you ever have somebody disrespect you and you don't do nothing at the time, and then after you walk away, and then it makes you even madder because you just let it slide and you ain't do nothing, and it kind of burn you up even more because it's did you really just let them get away with that? And then so over time I realized, I'm like, yeah, that's on you because you got so focused on moderating the show that you allowed that to happen. So I learned, and even for the better, like I will never, my moderator hat is cocked to the side, barely hanging off the side of my head. It ain't on full. Like Q is always here. So if you ever got some smoke, then I can just let that hat fall off real quick and I can give you the smoke you want to. But that was something that I needed to learn. And not only just for that reason, but I want to make sure I'm enjoying the shows as well and not just being caught up in one type of way. So yeah, we did have some, and that's Denise. You don't know it. We was like, hey, Denise, you want to moderate this and this? Like we were getting different people on a lot of that because I'm like, I'm people getting a little too comfortable listening to me, and they getting too comfortable thinking they can say whatever they want to me. So I'm like, let me back up a little bit for.
Because I'm taking free thinkers too far, if that's a possibility.
But you know what? It happens a lot, especially in times where even if the gender balance is off, and there's often times where I'm the only man or one or two men, so I'm like the sounding board or the person that they want to. Anybody, if they have frustrations, thoughts, whatever, is going to come at me, and I also operate even in another group right now, in a singles group. And when oftentimes I'm only like, people want to throw darts at you because you're the one that's in front of them.
I will say that's the one critique I would have for us is that so we, first of all, I have to give us credit for even having any of these conversations, especially at the height of cancel culture. For any of us to get on here and say half the stuff that 95% of the stuff that we say that we would get canceled for, like I gotta like salute all of us for that in the first place. That's number one. I think sometimes because we would talk about really like heavy topics, it was just like emotions would be flying. And then in that moment, people are just, there's like could be 6 people on at a time, and things are just flying. So it's impossible to catch everything in real time anyways, or even know how to respond, or like know when to respond, because then you maybe want to address one issue, but then you got to bring it back around to that, and there's so many things that can happen. So I think it's hard, even from the standpoint of like wanting to defend someone else, to even maneuver amongst all of that. So I would say like, but we do a pretty good job. But when it comes to we do get emotional. And sometimes I think we do, when we're talking to each other, it's like we're talking like you said, Q, you like represent all males sometimes. You represent all males in the world, and just like all of our frustrations from like the patriarchal society, it just starts coming at whatever man is on there. Sometimes that's something that we do. Like when it comes to certain subjects, sometimes we kind of zoom in like it's that person, or at least that's how it feels sometimes, just because we're heightened, even though that's not the intent of what we're talking about. If that makes sense. Yeah.
And you guys, you and Edward Quentin would go at it sometimes,
especially when it came to
especially when it came to religion. I remember one time we were
there that's a good one. Yeah, you're right.
Talking about religion. Oh my God, it was good though. Like
right.
But you and Edwards, like we couldn't shut the conversation down because it was just like it was flowing.
I think that's my favorite person for you to argue with is Edward. He is my favorite person for you to argue with.
Now hold on. Now when you mentioned one of my most memorable episodes, and this wasn't me. Y'all went in on Edward 14 different ways.
Yo,
he asked for it. He asked. We came. He asked. We came.
I really did. I was like, damn.
And he did ask for it, but
he asked.
He was going in. Jules was going in.
But he wouldn't hear. He wasn't hearing anything that was being said.
That might be my most memorable episode that I've seen on live.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
He was doing. He said he was doing a study for, I guess, some type of book or something he was preparing to write, and he was trying to come up with a formula, or it has something to do with like a universal truth, or a systematic way to get a person to see logic correctly. Basically, what he was trying to say.
He wanted to know how you change a motherfucker's mind on some shit they not trying to change their mind on, and I was like, that doesn't work that way.
But he was saying, do it logically. Like, how can you logically create a system that can change a person's mind if you follow these logical, rational steps
manipulation?
And then he said
force a person to be led up to this conclusion.
I think he said something about women don't think logically or something like that, and we just all the women went off.
No, what happened is he started talking about the flat earthers.
He talked about the vaccine people and the flat earth people. And I was like,
shit. I remember, I think this was the episode where we were like, what do we know beyond a shadow of a doubt is fact?
Universal truth that can't be refuted.
And it was only like, was it like giving?
It was nothing. There was nothing. Because I tried to use the example.
Like knowing your child is your child?
No, I used the example. I remember this, and I watched that episode several times. I said, all right, is it a universal truth that we all need air to breathe? And we got about 3 or 4 different answers on that. I said, Edward, just based off of this, there is no universal truth that you can come to use as a baseline for anything. It's like it's based off of perception. People will even perceive the question a certain type of way. So it's like just let it go. But then then he kept blowing by me and trying to keep talking to Nikki. I'm like, dude, Nikki is not listening to you. She's like, she's turned off by it. She said you not even listening. Why you keep asking her questions? I didn't get it, but I was like, hey, okay, well, if you some people like it rough, all right.
Yeah,
it got worse and worse.
But that was just it. He was trying to go at this with an angle of how can I make you see what I'm saying and you make that be truth. And I'm like, that's not how that works. And literally, I think at one point in unison, everybody on in the conversation that night, and it had to have been 6-8 of us on there that night. Like in unison, everybody at the same time was like, you can't. You can't. You fucking can't. I was like, because I am that person at the Thanksgiving table that you're trying to reel back from over the edge before they jump over. I was like, you can't. If a person is committed to their thought process and this is what they believe in, nothing that you say or that you can introduce into them is going to make them change their mind to make your Thanksgiving dinner be a more pleasurable conversation. Just stop fucking talking. That was it.
That was one of my most memorable.
That was a good one.
Hold on a second. So Facebook user said, "How are you in a singles group and you're married?" Because I am a dope ass moderator, and it ain't a whole lot of people out there that can mess with me. That's how. They were like, "Yeah, we know people. We still
married always when you were in the group."
No, but I'm dope though. I'm that good, and people were like, "Yeah, we still want you to come." So there you go. What's you know any other episodes that stick out? I'm gonna tell you one more that stick out with me. Oh, we had 120 already. So the one, how free of a free thinker are you? I liked that episode. What you say?
What were the questions when we did that one?
Oh,
how free of a free thinker are you?
Like how, like your ability to change, your ability to be a teacher versus a learner. What are your trigger? What's your triggers, and do you know your triggers? How flexible are you to adapt when presented with a different set of facts? It was a lot of. Now, let me say this too. Oh yes. So and I was like, I don't know, maybe it depends on whatever we was talking about before that. So when I came up with that idea, Nikki was sorely opposed to it. She was like, "Oh hell, like no, I'm not on to that at all. Like if I would have known you wanted that topic, I would have completely said no." And so I'm like, okay, well, I thought it would be cool. And then Jules also was like, "Oh no, this is this is just you just asking for trouble. This ain't gonna be no good. This and this and that." And I'm like, "What do y'all?" I'm like, "Do y'all just think we go around bullying people, or what do y'all think we gonna like?" I don't know. Maybe it could have been just based off of some previous conversation that we had, but I'm like, I don't see that conversation going anywhere. And it like I thought, the whole show just turned out we were just giving people their flowers the whole show. And it was good. We were assessing each other, but it was really we were just giving people their flowers. I'm like, I don't know why y'all thought this would be so bad. I'm like, and who's gonna make it bad? I don't like the only times I think, in my opinion, the only time stuff go bad when never mind. I ain't gonna say that.
Gender wars. That would always set us off. But that wasn't even bad. That would just be like really like, I don't know, engaging.
Right.
Do we ever have an actual show about that?
Yeah.
We did?
Yeah, we have a genders. I don't know. Do we call it gender war? I think maybe we did call it gender wars.
I know we did a patriarchy. We did a patriarchy. The word it was like it's being overused, and I know
that was a hot one too.
I'm
Tierra.
sure that was hot. I can imagine.
Yeah,
I can imagine that was hot.
Because if I recall, Tierra, didn't you get into it with somebody over patriarchy? It was something.
Probably. I said as soon as I heard that was either Tierra or Nikki. That was always some point of.
Well, what was the question or the title about as far as the patriarchy? I'm intrigued.
I think it was something like, do we live in a? It was something like living under the patriarchy. How does it impact us or stuff like that? And we just, everybody just like kind of like
about a term.
Yeah, you hated the term. Like you said, it's thrown around.
So me and Tierra were butt heads, me and Nikki butt heads, Denise, all of y'all, and I will give y'all because y'all did help me really understand what that meant when it was said. Like even it's like saying someone practices racism. That doesn't mean you're necessarily calling them a racist, but you're saying there's a system in place that allows you to benefit from that system. So in the same way, when you're talking about patriarchy, that don't mean you personally have to be a misogynist or whatever you call it, but it's like the system allows you to benefit from it in ways, whether you participate or you're not. The fact that you are a man, and the fact that you have the liberty to say certain things and operate certain ways, that is the effects of the system of patriarchy that allows you to do that. So y'all actually, out of all that arguing y'all did move my needle to some degree, and I was like, okay, I'm starting to get what's actually being said without me immediately being triggered. So thank you, Denise, Tierra, Nikki. Thank y'all for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You know what conversation I really liked, y'all? It may have been the patriarchy conversation, but we were talking about how like women don't feel safe, and and the men were like, that was so good. The men were like, really, my bad, y'all, because I'm doing a lot of stuff at once, but I gotta get off it. But the men were really confused and didn't realize, like we were saying basic stuff like slapping a girl's ass, like when we were younger, like something like that, where it seems so
Pulling the
harmless.
bra strap, slapping the bra
Yeah,
strap.
like,
That was a big piece that a
Right.
lot of men were like, "Are you fucking serious? Like, no way."
yeah. And so it was dope because I felt like we were and still I haven't seen this yet, the only platform that would allow men to us to give them constructive criticism on how these things don't work, and men weren't defensive. They were like, okay, well, what should we do in this situation, and what should we do in that situation, and really asking us. And then it came to a point where we were even like, in some situations, like, I don't know. We were still trying to work through certain things, like, well, I'm not really sure, like, especially
Right.
when we're talking about like harassment and what is considered harassment versus what is just considered asking a person on a date, like, how does it, you know what I mean, like those kind of sensitive subjects. And I love that we were the only place that I've seen talk about this, and it not just be a bunch of arguing back and forth. It was like genuine curiosity.
Yeah, because I remember Quentin asking. He said, "Well, is it offensive if you like the guy or something like that?" You were saying most women are welcome to that type of behavior if it's someone that they actually, want. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Like
attractive to them or
Mm-hmm.
something.
attractive to them or something. It was
Mhm.
something on those lines that you were trying to make a point of, Quentin, that it was like more of women don't mind, guys being a little forward if it was a guy that they like, but if it was a
Yes.
guy,
I say that consistently. And then
Mhm.
that's one of my things. Hey, the good come with the bad if you put bait out there trying to catch a catfish and then a salmon bite on the line, I'm like, hey, you still throwing bait out there. You can't
Yeah.
necessarily control what's gonna bite on the bait. Like you can't be, oh, you god dang salmon, I'm trying to catch a catfish. Like the bait is out there. You gonna just throw it back. Just throw it back and put some more bait out there. But then y'all also did, even as I was younger, y'all helped me realize, like, especially I think a lot of men don't understand that. Even popping the bra strap or smacking a girl on her butt in the little cute laugh, that's not always a sign that they like it. Sometimes that's a way a woman has to try to de-escalate a situation before it turns. Like men, I was like, I never thought about that like that. That's,
Oh yeah,
and then I felt
I
bad
remember
about
that
it,
conversation
I'm like,
yeah.
vividly.
I never crossed
Remember
my
we were
mind
talking
like,
about the dancing and like guys, y'all dancing at the club and here he comes up behind you and stuff like
Touching
that.
you on your waist.
You're like, what in the, and you kind of try to dance. It was all kind of things that
right,
women do to try to de-escalate it, because if we were
right,
just to flat out say, what the fuck are you doing, then
right.
it would be a situation possibly.
Or just saying no thank you to the wrong immature guy can turn it into something totally like, that's yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, no, I've learned so much. Oh, and Denise and Nikki, one of my the Black Mirror series. I love
I was
that.
gonna say
Oh,
that.
so good.
Yo, I was gonna
That
say
Black
that.
yeah, that Black Mirror said that was, matter of fact, we're gonna have to do a second round of that. That was really good.
I
What did
agree.
the Facebook user say? So y'all have a history of escalating controversial content. Yes, you got dang right. That's what we do. I'm not controversial, so I guess I'm more on the safe side. You still safe with us too. You can still you safe, and you can be safe and still be safe with us. We controversial, we escalate, but everybody got a space, so you
And
good.
with a purpose. We're here. We want to have a conversation.
Right.
Like, we want to have a conversation that most people just are not willing to have. Or, I
Right.
mean, where else can you go to have these kind
Those
of
tough
conversations?
conversations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And that's why I'm describing ways, some of the toughest conversations I had on the other side of it. Then I really learned. I learned a lot. Like, oh, okay. And I'm so thankful because I want to be a well-rounded person. And it's crazy. Like, sometimes you don't realize how far you've come until you run across ignorant people. Like,
Mm.
or not,
Mm.
and they're not, I mean, ignorant in the same way that you used to be, but you don't realize it. So like, even dealing with the LGBTQIA community, like I said, conversations about poly, the conversations we had about transgender, all these things. And I've learned listening and talking to people. I've learned things that what's appropriate to say, what's not, certain terms, what's offensive, how to like just the view on things. And then when you get in a space where people like I go back to my singles group. We almost had we did have the conversation, and I was going to invite some people of that community there. And halfway in the conversation, I'm like, I'm glad I ain't invite nobody because y'all have no etiquette. Like you have no idea the proper etiquette to use that's not even going to be offensive. So it just reminds me of, I used to say that same stuff. So it's good anytime where I can see growth and give me the opportunity to, based off of the things that you guys have argued with me now, when I'm in other spaces, I can say, well, this is not necessarily me talking, but from experiences that I've had with conversations with other people, this is also an issue when you're talking about patriarchy, or you're talking about how you approach a woman and things like that. See, I don't have to just go off of my own perspective. I can listen to others and gain perspective off of you all as well. So I appreciate that. It's awesome. We are about at the end. Any other things that stand out to you overall, just about either episodes or the groups or things that's memorable to you?
I think one of my favorite times was when we had the party at Smack's house. That was such a good time.
That was.
Everybody was in town, and we didn't have a meeting. Like, we just had a gathering, right? Like, there was no discussion necessarily taking place. Of course, a gang of discussion took place eventually, but like, it was just a nice, cool, chill, like, it was like the rewards, right? For all the work that we put in and all the emotions that we've shared and all the tears that have been shed and the frustrations that have been, shared amongst us, like to come together in a totally neutral setting and just enjoy ourselves outside of this space was cool to see how we all really kind of mesh with each other outside of being in, the coffee shop or, being here online. Right. That was definitely one of my favorite times. But I think those are always my favorite times when we get together. We actually get together, like doing Black Tea Talk and, being with each other before and during and after. Like, those were some of the best times ever, just being in person.
Funny, Nikki, I also watched Donald Trump become president.
Do what?
Yeah, that's all. We did.
We all went to Chewy's and watched Donald Trump become president.
Yes, we did. We went straight from meeting.
I didn't even go. I knew that was about to happen. I was like,
we sure did. We sat there and we couldn't fucking believe it. We watched them steal the election.
Oh, they stole the election. What I was gonna say was funny though, because one of my memorable times I was about to say was I was like, oh yeah, when we had the Black Tea Talk at Spinners. I'm like, hold on, that's Black Tea Talk. That ain't free thinkers. But it's like, I think about Black Tea Talk like as an extension of free thinkers, so I didn't even look at them. I'm like, yeah, that's still.
It really is a extension, because I think Smack had the flat earther thing on his show that day, and then it kind of flowed into what we were talking about on Free Thinkers. So a lot of that stuff was kind of like bouncing off of each other. It was really nice.
So Smack, when you did that
flat earth is a hot topic, boy.
But let me tell you, Smack, when you did that episode about William Shatner going into space, that was the funniest episode. That was the funniest episode of all time. I laughed so hard on that.
Yeah, what? I think my favorite. It's not like a memory per se, but like, the COVID era was so
everybody
lit.
was heated, boy. I tell you what.
The COVID era was like so like y'all saved my life,
spicy, boy.
Yo, the vaccination or no vaccination people.
Oh yeah, that's
now vaccinate or not.
Yeah.
No, but not even like actual COVID, but just like having somewhere to go.
Yeah,
on lockdown. Everybody was tense.
Yo, I'm like being in New York by myself, and I'm just like, oh my God, like seeing familiar faces and like talking to people about stuff that I really want to talk about. And like, yo, y'all were just like, it's just a godsend. Like, it was so necessary. Like, I feel like just us talking was saving so many lives from like all the like
depression,
lack of social
interaction.
Yep.
I mean, as Denny said, like I was saying at the very beginning, like we went for a period of time where Monday, Wednesday, Friday was Black Tea Talk, Tuesday was us, and Thursday was Tierra Talks. Like we literally spent 5 days a week fucking just talking to each other. Like, and so you had to do Black Tea Talk on Monday to figure out what we was talking about on Tuesday, and then talk about that shit on Wednesday on Black Tea Talk, and then we talk about it again on Friday. It was like, I mean, and it's crazy because I don't think. We lived online, and I think about it now, and I'm like, could we ever give that much time to podcasting again?
Shit,
5 days a week?
I damn near do. So I'm like, I got the things.
That was dope.
I mean, podcast.
Hold on a second. Speaking of, you made me think. Rest in peace, Miss Annette. I'm glad.
Yeah, Miss Annette.
Yeah, she was like another branch of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah, we had some hard losses. Lucia, rest in peace, Lucia. We had some tough losses. Like, that was crazy. So, yeah.
We've seen them come, we've seen them go. But, every single time that we do this, I don't think I've ever sat through one of these and not had a teachable moment. Every single one of these, I learned something about people, myself. I mean, I've been saying it since day one in the Meeting of the Minds days. Like, this is like therapy. This is like church. This is whatever you call that space to be able to talk freely. Something about it just spoke to my soul. So being able to continue this as free thinkers, and here we are 7 fucking years later, which does not feel like it's been 7 years as free thinkers. Like, it's, I mean, I can't imagine we do this it's crazy to think we do this every Tuesday. This is just what we do every Tuesday.
Let me tell you, Nikki, I just thought about this. One of my favorite, all-time favorite, got to be in my top 5. It was just me and you talking one time. And it was like a couple topics, but we talked about where did white people come from? And we talked about like this whole God thing. And I broke down what I thought the afterlife really was, and it kind of goes like we had a conversation. I was like, that was one of my favorite conversations. It was just us on there going. I was like, that was one of my favorites. Anyway, keep going. Keep saying.
I had people hit me up after that conversation, Q, talking about answer the question. Where do white people come from? I was like, you gotta ask Q. I don't think we still have a definitive answer on this point.
Yes, I did. They came from Africa. They came from Africa. And then over the evolution of time, long enough, I'll go back and watch it over long enough. If you're in non-tropical places, then that melanin starts to dissipate and you get lighter and lighter and you're eventually white. We still all came from Africa. That ain't changed.
I mean, that's one theory.
Giraffes used to have short necks. But the neck didn't get long in 100 years. This is over the course of hundreds of thousands of millions of years. Evolution takes time. We're trying to decide this in our finite mind that we're gonna live 80 years and we've been around as long as we know, maybe 100 to 200,000 years, depending on whatever your viewpoint on that. Say we was around for 500,000 years. That's still this big, and even in the time span of the Earth itself. So it's like we have not been around long enough to even compute that in our mind, what that looks like. Anyway, I ain't gonna get into that.
Has anyone ever determined how old the Earth is?
The estimation is what, 13.9 billion? Like
substantiation. Yeah, okay.
Okay. I mean, what you think I'm gonna argue you down on that? That's how would any person know for sure?
Right.
Like I said,
that's my point of asking the question.
All we can do is estimate. Right. All we can do is estimate, but based off of, if you believe in any form of science, they'll tell you.
Estimation based on what? Fossils or
trying to turn
evolution, as you would say?
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, no, I'm not gonna do it because we're running out of time. But never mind.
Right.
I'll digress.
No, yeah. If you want to propose it as a topic next week, then just go ahead and let us know.
You know, it's funny, man. Since you mentioned about that, every time I try and post a topic to you as far as what to talk about, you shoot it down.
Oh, Nikki, do you believe that?
Yeah. Yes.
I've never heard you shoot a topic down.
Thank you. He thinking of the other show that he be on. He said,
No,
I
brother.
No,
brother. I've offered you a few topics. You're like, nah, man, I don't want to talk about that. There's been several times, brother. I offered you some topics.
Tell me one.
And you wasn't feeling it.
Nope. Tell me one of the topics you were referring to.
It's been a while. Well, I can't remember. It's been a while ago. But I do remember coming to you and like, yo, let's talk about this and that, and you wasn't on board with it.
That don't even sound like me, because I'm so.
That sounds like okay. That may not sound like you. That may not sound like you now, but 3 or 4 years ago, that was you. Maybe.
Me and Nikki been thirsty for topics for the last.
We've been begging for topics for years.
Trust me, Q. I think it's when I probably like I'll say a few months after when I started coming, I will present to you a topic, and you know,
like 7 years. But look, tell me, just give me one. I promise you, whatever you bring up next,
I wish.
About it.
I just gave it to you. I just gave it to you right there. The one you just mentioned.
Next week.
What's the topic? Let me hear it.
The one you just mentioned. What we talking about right now, as far as the evolution of time, or you know, how old the Earth is. That.
How do you
that's
prove
okay.
that?
So that's your problem. You don't formulate your topics well. That's the problem. Because I don't even.
No, that's not the problem. You have mentioned something about in regards to determining how old the Earth is, and no one is able to determine how old the Earth is. So you mentioned something like, well, let's talk about that next week. So you want to open that can of worms in regards to talking about that topic? Because you mentioned something about the Earth being 25 billion years old, and I'm like, well, that's why I posed the question. Like, okay, how can a person determine how old the Earth is?
Okay, so what I will do, I promise I will get with you and we will formulate a topic from that thought. I think because right now the topic is not clear. And Nikki, I used to do this with Nikki so much we don't have to do it no more. Nikki would bring a thought to me. I'm like, okay, so what's the topic that you're thinking of based out of it? I'm like, what's the base topic that we can formulate questions around? Because just a thought or question is not the same as a topic. So we'll formulate a topic out of that. I got so now based off how you say that, now I can see how I probably seem like I ignored you, because from the way I formulate things, that's not a topic. That's just a thought. But we can pull a topic from that thought. So I'm cool with it.
That could be a great conversation too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Has anybody seen the movie The Book of Clarence?
Not yet.
No.
Yes, I've seen it. I've seen it. Yes, I've seen it.
Go watch it. And then we need to also talk about all the little subtopic messages in it.
The Book of Clarence.
That other movie. There was another movie that came out on Netflix. Remember about the end of the world?
Yeah, it's dang, I forgot what it was.
Nuances in there that
Leave the World Behind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Leave the World Behind.
Julia Roberts, the one that was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of things in both of those movies that went over people's heads. It's not necessarily but they're now the style they're doing really tough now in movies is hidden Easter eggs, like real tough.
Literally.
Like, and they make it seem like they're going in the direction of what you think, but it's a total different direction. It's more of a thought thing.
Right.
And they're putting real, like the boat, let's say, that leave them all behind. That boat that pulled up, the White Lion, that was a slave ship.
Yep.
That was one of the first slave ships. When you watch where they exited off the highway, where those Teslas were all blocking up that highway.
That exit they took.
Not really in New York, but that's like in Virginia somewhere. So all that took place there. But there's a lot of little things like that where they're like trying to say things in the movies. So, yeah,
What's
Book
up?
of Clarence is a good one. I've seen it twice already, just because I had to go back to
Where's
make
that? Is it in
sure.
the theaters? Is it in Amazon? Where's it
It's
at?
in theaters. It's in theaters.
I'm gonna check that out. I did want to see that.
I don't think I've ever heard of that one.
Interesting
And
concept.
Lakeith
I watched a
Stanfield
lot
is
of
one
people
of my
walk out
top
of that
actors
movie
right
too.
now.
I watched a lot of people walk out of that movie.
Ooh, really?
We need to have like a group movie night.
Yeah, let's do it.
We were supposed to do a damn Hidden Colors movie nights too.
Oh, y'all ain't trying to do no damn.
Oh, yeah, they ain't.
We've been trying to do Hidden Colors for 7 years.
We talked about that many times.
Y'all.
Oh, before we go, hopefully y'all are able to make it to New York March 11th. Denise will be celebrating the release of her album. I will be there DJing.
That's what's up. Heck yeah, that's what's up.
Yep, it all aligns and when I'm out there, so that's gonna be really dope. So definitely March 11th. Everybody should get a ticket now. It's only $230.
Yeah,
that's what it's
about.
about.
You mean plane tickets?
Yep.
Did you book a
$230 round trip right now?
That's what's up. Congratulations, Denise.
Hell yeah. And thank y'all for being here tonight.
Yeah.
It felt good to have all these old school faces on here tonight.
When I saw the subject, I was like, I gotta hop on, like, because I just got off of a live, but I was like, nah, you got to get on. Like, there's no way.
It's birthday.
Yeah.
7 years, man. 7 years is a long time to be doing this, and we've only had, a short amount of Tuesdays where we don't show up. I think in the last year we've probably had more Tuesdays where we've just taken some time off. But like up until the last year or so, we every Tuesday hard, even if it's just me and Q. And a lot of the last 4-5 months has been just me and Q. But for me, you talk about like some of the most memorable conversations. I think you and I just sitting here just going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and picking our totally opposite brains has been.
Oh, we talked about grooming a few months ago. That was a spicy one too.
I had somebody hit me up recently who was like, yo, I just listened to y'all's grooming conversation. He was like, I got a lot of questions. I was like, join us on Tuesday. But it's shit like that, right? We'll sit here and we'll do this just you and I. And it's what happens after that for me. Like it's the conversations that people bring to me afterwards, and it's, and I realize people are still a little timid to get on live and, disclose their identity and ask certain questions in front of other people. Like I get it, but this thing it is what it is. Whether it's the two of us or it's 10 of us, this thing is just, this is a necessary thing, and just so much. So I've learned so much about people. I've learned so much about men, you and Smack in particular, just the heart-to-heart conversations and the hard conversations that we've had, like being single the last 7 years and reflecting back on all the things that I've heard you guys talk about over the years from a man's perspective and a father's perspective and husband's perspective, a son's perspective. Like, I don't even know who I would be if I didn't have this in my life. I don't. And every single one of you is in my heart for the rest of my life. It's just literally a part of who I am. So I'm thankful for allowing me to come into Meeting of the Minds. And I'm grateful that you stuck this out with me. And I'm grateful to those of you guys who continue to share your lives with us, because this is more than just some people rambling and talking on Tuesday nights. Like, this is real deal shit. For some of us, this has literally saved our fucking life.
Facts.
And I'm grateful to be a part of this.
Absolutely. All I can say is all of y'all, I just don't say this on here. I say this everywhere I go. Like all of y'all, this group, it's made me a better person. And I'm so thankful. Like, where else would I be able to learn the way that I do? Because if you can't have the conversations like this, then how can you truly learn for real? So no, I'm grateful, and I'm so happy. I'm really happy. I love myself. I love my growth, my evolution. I love my ability to be a free thinker and to think freely and to think openly and to have a process where I'm open to all things, to be able to bring in information and just, hey, thank all of y'all. Past, present, future, last 7 years, everybody, I appreciate it. And that's it. That's all I got.
Happy birthday to the free thinkers of the world.
Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to, like you said, past, present, and future. And thank you, Jules. You definitely have been around from day one. You was around way before me. So I appreciate you for trying to decide which direction you wanted to go and coming on board with the free thinkers, baby. Because we really could not do this without each other. And I can't say it enough. I agree with you, Q. I'm a far better person because of this. So I thank everybody.
For sure. All right. Good night, y'all. Yes, sir. Hold on. Before you go, let's go. What you got? You hooking on?
I was going to ask you a question real quick. Do you know what Title 4D is?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right.
I'll look it up though. But I will. We're going to, because we are going to talk about what you talked about next week. We're just going to formulate a topic around it, and that's what we're going to be talking about.
Well, once you find out what that is, that should be your next topic.
My next topic is what you said.
brother, listen to me. After next week, like your follow-up topic. After next week.
You want 2 topics now.
Okay.
Listen, you don't want to talk about come with you some ideas and topics, so I'm coming.
You're right. I did say that.
So I'm coming.
That. I wrote it down. Topic 4D, right? Is that what you said?
No, Title 4D.
Title 4D. Okay.
Title 4D.
I don't know if the other person, Facebook user, joking, talking about was MLK a sellout, but we can have a conversation around sellouts in general and how do we define. That's going to be a good topic too. I like that. That's going to be a good topic when we talk about that. Whether you experience or not, man, we got something for that.
I feel like we've talked about that before, way back in the day too.
You just thinking about when Smack called me a sellout that time.
No, I'm not thinking about that.
You think about when Smack called me a sellout.
I can say because of that we had that conversation, but I think we did have that conversation way before we went live.
Flawed, not flawed.
But that would be good. That would be good.
Yeah, no, we're gonna do that. Okay,
all right,
thank y'all. We got 3 words.
Any last thoughts? Any last words? I don't think we've done that in a minute.
Yeah, I would like to say that this space has been I say very helpful as far as coming together and meeting people from different backgrounds and different walks of life, and able to come together and be in a space where people can have discussions and conversations and laugh, joke, even get mad or whatever the case may be, and still able to break bread. So that's one of the things that keeps me coming back is the admiration of that in regards to the circle that was created for folks to come in and just express themselves and not receive judgment behind it just because they have a difference of opinion. Those who are I'll say religious or judgmental should be able to take notes from this particular group and either other groups in regards to their judgmental style. Judging the book by its cover without actually having to read the book first. I'll yield with that.
Appreciate that.
Sure.
Yeah, and, just congratulations. 7 years is a big commitment. Glad to see y'all keeping it going, and I'm glad I got to be a part of it. I'm glad I got to be inspired by it to create my own podcast and talk my shit. And a lot of people don't get a chance to do that. I'm sure there's a lot of things people heard they didn't like, some did like, but all in all, I think it's just great to have the conversations of the world because they need to be had. And, a lot of people just kind of listen to the news and they go with that. and that's their conversation. It's like whatever the TV tells them to talk about, that's what they talk about. But yeah, congratulations to you, Q, you, Nikki, for really keeping it going. Even shout out to you know what I mean, the what's the Walking Dead actress name? Selah. With the zombie thing, you know, when she started acting like a zombie in the parking lot, that, you know, I needed that in my life too. That was very entertaining. It was a trip too, because she actually stayed in character the whole time. And I don't know if y'all remember, I don't know if you remember, Nikki, but I was like right in her face whispering shit like, yeah, now you got to keep that shit up. And she was making them weird noises with her throat. But and I saw that episode and I was just kind of like, wow, like you're really just really in this moment. But that was interesting to see because it showed me what people are capable of.
Yeah.
And but I you know what? I wouldn't change nothing about all of that. It was all great. All the arguments, all the debates, and especially the parking lot debates, the debate after the debate,
Parking lot was legendary.
and then we were always able to pretty much, except for that one time where the Dawn of the Dead actress, when she did the zombie, like we were all able to shake hands, walk away, and come back. You know, all except for that one time where the girl, she was acting like Godzilla in the park. Like it was just all good, man.
Keeps going back to that after every statement.
No, real talk. Shout out to Sailor. I really do appreciate Sailor.
And we'll be white black.
We'll be white black.
No, two things. Number one, shout out to Sailor, real talk, and then shout out to Smack. He the one who gave us this logo. So the logo that you see.
Oh
right
yeah,
here,
I did.
You sure did.
Right,
yeah. See, that's what.
And I don't care what you say. I refuse to change it. Like that's the OG baby. Like that's it.
You know,
Smack
I just
was
gave
like,
y'all a
here.
placeholder.
Yeah, you was like here. We was like perfect. Yep.
Yeah, y'all didn't ask for it. I just did it. I was like, boom, here you go.
I just want to say thank y'all so much for everything. Thank y'all so much for like supporting me even from afar. Like, thanks for being willing to have these conversations. Thanks for like the times where people were like beating a topic over the head and we like were intentional about not talking about it so we could have something else to talk about. Like, thanks for even like having that kind of intentionality and moving in that ways. And just like, it's been so dope to see how everyone's grown. Everyone's doing their own thing, but still able to come together. And like, again, this is just, I don't know where else I can have this conversation. And shout out to Selah, because I think, you know, it was good. It unfortunate it had to branch off that way, the way that it did, but it was so necessary because I felt like we were able to unpack topics
right
in ways that we may not have been with certain restrictions when we start thinking about religion and stuff like that. And being able to have your religious beliefs and allow people to have whatever their beliefs are too. And I think that's one thing I really love about this is that we're like, whatever you believe it. Whatever you don't believe it. But just have a compelling argument.
Right. Yeah,
stay no business.
And then I wanna double down as well, because I don't like, if it wasn't for Selah, would we even have the baseline to even come up with this platform? So I really do appreciate Selah. And then I will say, in addition to that, everybody got that. I never step on another person's experience, and as true as the experience is, I always I try not to judge a person by what I perceive as their worst moment, but I look at their best moments. And I do know for a fact that is a caring, giving, community outreach. She is a shirt off of her back type of person, and I've seen her do that on many occasions. When I look at the totality of what she's done in this community, I have much respect, much love for Selah. Reciprocated or not, I do respect her and I do appreciate her. So that's why I leave that.
Thank you, Q.
And I'm about to mute Smack. I ain't about to let Smack step back over everything that I say with some
That's
crazy
what
stuff.
makes me think this fucking amazing. So we'll see y'all next Tuesday.
All right, good night.
Everybody.
Indeed.
Thank you for being here, y'all.
Night all.